He's got a signing coming up in just a little bit. Joining us right now is WWE Hall of Famer, a 35-time wrestling champion, just coming off WrestleMania 31. His new book is entitled Booker T, My Rise to Wrestling Royalty. Let's welcome Booker T back to the Pain Clinic. Thank you so much for the time today, Booker T.
Hey, man, no problem. Glad to be here.
Now, you're out in Chicago right now to do a signing as soon as we get done, right?
Yeah, man, C2E2, getting ready to go out there and, do my thing, comic book convention, have some fun, sign a few books, shake a few hands, take a few selfies, make a few people happy.
Very, very cool. Now, your newest book, Booker T, My Rise to Wrestling Royalty, picks up right after Booker T, From Prison to Promise, Life Before the Squared Circle Ends. Was that your intent when you wrote the first book?
Yeah, definitely. The first book was just a prelude, just to let people inside my life to see my story. A lot of wrestlers don't give their real story. They just talk about their wrestling story. I had so much life before wrestling ever started. I just wanted the people to see there is light, at the end of the tunnel. If Booker T can make it, anybody can make it.
I love how big a part Sid Vicious played in your career. Could you and Lash have done it without his intervention? Do you think? I understand how important it is in the book. Do you think you guys could have done it without him?
I really think we would have done it without Sid, but I don't think it would have happened. Nowhere nearly as fast. Sid saw something in us. And he was willing to take a chance, by even, putting us up in his apartment, letting us stay with him, giving us money, making sure we got a raise at the appropriate time, you know what I mean? So Sid in our back pocket was a blessing in disguise.
Now, do you think he's a WWE Hall of Famer eventually?
Definitely, I think so. I think Sid Vicious is a Hall of Famer. I think Sid, his attitude, his out-of-ring attitude is what, I think plagues Sid. But as far as Sid being a major player in this business that changed the whole name of the game, as far as big men go, a guy that looked the way he did and accomplished as much as he did. Sid is a Hall of Famer.
Now, were you there the night that he broke his leg in WCW?
Yeah, I was there that night, and it was screeching, it was one of those things where you just, grab your chest, you know what I mean? You grab your head, you know what I mean? You just like, and all what happened out there. A move that Sid shouldn't have never been doing. Actually, I saw those guys rehearsing that thing earlier in the day, and I was like, man, that just does not look right for a Sid, a guy over 300 pounds, to be coming down on that, putting that much pressure on one leg, and it proved to be, the breaking point.
Yeah, it was. I remember. I've seen some pretty bad things, and usually a guy like Sid, the show goes on, but I think that pretty much ended it right there that night. That was pretty gross.
Definitely.
I love in your book how, in your new book, which we are promoting today, Booker T, My Rise to Wrestling Royalty, how you tally those titles through the chapters. How'd you come up with that idea?
I just thought it was a cool idea, because the thing was, I really didn't realize I had won that many championships until I started writing the book. That may seem, strange, one would know how many titles that he's won, but, during the career, I really never thought about the championship. I always just thought about the performance. I just thought about going out there and entertaining for the fan to have that memory, many, many years later. And then, as going through the book, I was like, wow, maybe it'd be cool to actually tally, the total all the way up to 35. And, I think it was a pretty good idea.
I'll tell you, and this is a little aside here. I've been doing this radio show since 1998, and we've had you on a few times, and we always appreciate when you come on, sir. We have a fantasy wrestling group that we do, and what we do is we get points based on TV wins, and then you get double the points versus pay-per-view wins. And when you were in that streak in WCW, I think you earned a bunch of our guys a lot of money because all the wins.
One time.
Yeah, Danger Boy here, my partner here, he won because you.
It was when you were doing G.I. Bro in WCW, and then you won the championship shortly thereafter. I got you in the third round somehow.
You were definitely a first rounder after that, from that on.
That was a method to my madness, man, when I became G.I. Bro. A lot of people thought that was a joke on me. They thought, the company was like, we have nothing to do with Booker T, so let's put him in an army outfit. But that was my first character that I ever played. my mentor, my trainer, Scott Casey, is the one who gave me that character when I first started. And I actually have the G.I. Bro comic book going to be coming out next month.
I saw the pictures from it. It looked great. I mean, and it brings us back to that time when, you were with that group of like General Rection.
The Misfits in Action.
The Misfits in Action, yeah. I dug that whole time going on, man. That was awesome. So that's very, very cool. Now, is one thing I kind of learned about your time quickly in TNA was besides you winning the last two titles of your 35, it's your love for the Orlando Brazilian Steakhouse.
yeah. Texas de Brazil, that is the most awesome place. I was happy to be a part of TNA just because of that. I would go to Florida, every week. And, the manager there would always, was like it was my birthday. You know what I mean? There would always be cake at the end of the dinner. We would eat as much as we possibly could, and we would walk out of there like fat rats. You know what I mean? So Texas de Brazil is the one. Yeah.
That's cool, and I'm glad that you wrote about TNA because being a WWE announcer, but that was a part of your career, and I mean we enjoyed when you were down there. It was a lot of fun from what we could see, being the fan side of everything. Overall the experience didn't seem like anything too exciting, I guess.
The thing was, when I went into TNA, I was gung-ho. I was coming off of pretty much an 18-year run, non-stop. And when I went to TNA, my days were shorter as far as time having to work, which was cool. Going to Florida every week was really, really cool. You had some guys, young guys there, AJ Styles, Robert Roode, Samoa Joe. I thought those guys really, really deserved to be put in a position, and I thought I was the one that actually could go out there and get it done with those guys. I just never was given the opportunity to go out there and make a Samoa Joe, make an AJ Styles, make a Robert Roode. Me and Roode, we had a good angle there, but it was nothing long lasting, and I just thought they really dropped the ball on Booker T and what I really could have brought to the table to TNA.
Yeah, they had you and Foley were down there at the same time, and Sting, and it seemed like a lot of stuff was dropped. The ball was dropped on a lot of that stuff at the time.
I just thought it was just really not, right. I should have been wrestling Steiner. I should have been wrestling Nash. You know what I mean? It should have been, me and Sting, in the middle of the ring. And I never got a chance to wrestle any of those guys when I was down there, as well as I only got a chance to wrestle a couple of the young guys. That was just, totally dropping the ball.
Without a doubt. Now, was going into the WWE Hall of Fame a surprise to you?
Definitely. That's not something that I was, thinking about. That was definitely not on my radar. I thought I was definitely too young, too good looking, and too handsome to be in the Hall of Fame. But it was an honor that I accepted, man, wholeheartedly. I thought my stats, said I was a Hall of Famer, but it's just not something that I really, really worked for. Me getting put in the Hall of Fame is the biggest honor that I could honestly possibly accept, but it definitely was not something on my radar, but I'm glad I'm there.
It's a good thing you don't have to be out of the sport for 5 years like baseball to get put into the Hall of Fame, because there's a lot of guys that we'd forget about in 5 years, but you definitely remember. And it was like they brought you back and announced the Hall of Fame at the same time, so it was a real surprise to everybody, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, to be honored by the WWE being a WCW guy, that was the one, that touched me more than anything, and finally let me, it made me feel like I was finally accepted, in the WWE family.
Oh, we just got a question on Twitter. They wanted to know what happened to your old tag team partner, your brother.
Stevie Ray, my brother, he's still with me on a regular basis. He works with me with my reality and wrestling company down in Houston. The WWE just did a story on him not too long ago. Where are they now? He has a trucking company down in Houston. And he's been doing that ever since he left the business. He's a part of my show every week. He's a conversation on Sports Radio 610, CBS Radio. He's a part of me with that as well. So he's still doing his thing, man. Still having fun. He's trying to get the old muscle machine back in action.
Yeah, I heard that you guys just won your tag titles too, and then had to had to put them, give them away, give them back, which is pretty cool. I mean, getting out there with your brother tagging again, that'd be pretty much fun.
That was the final heat, the final ride, that final match, that I've always wanted to have. I wanted to finish this business the way I started it, and that was with my brother. You know, if it wasn't for my brother, I know I wouldn't be in this business. I'm living a dream that, you know, I'm living my brother's dream, actually, and I'm having a great time, and I just thought it was poetic justice for us to finish it like that. And, you know, and it wasn't about winning the titles or anything like that. The titles went right back up, you know, for grabs, you know, 4-way tournament, happening, just in a couple of weeks. But it was just about going out there and making that walk with my brother just one final time and say, man, we did it.
And I see you mentioned also you're doing a radio show there, too. I think you worked with my buddy Brad Davies. He used to work here at this station many, many years ago, and I know he went to Houston, and maybe years ago you worked with him on the radio. But you have your own radio show there every Saturday, too, right?
Yeah, every Saturday night, Heated Conversations, Sports Radio 16, like I say, you know, I talk MMA, I talk boxing, something that I love. You know, I never really talk wrestling. I talk current events. And it's a really, really popular show so far. It's getting off the ground pretty quick, and I love actually getting in there. I think I found my niche talking on the radio, you know, being able to use my voice and then have no restraints. I can go out there and talk about and do whatever I want to do. That's the good part. The station pretty much gives me the reins, and I'm having fun with it. Hopefully it's going to last a long time.
Very, very cool. I like, I was going to go back to WrestleMania 31 just a second. I like how Triple H used your prior relationship with Sting to forward the angle for WrestleMania 31. That kind of public firing I think it was great TV. I mean, it was not good for you because of what people had to go through the emotions with you, but they could have went back to that more, I think. How did you feel about that? You know, I mean, it was a good time to get out there and be in the spotlight for a bit, huh?
Ah, man, it was great. I mean, Sting coming in, I mean, who better to, you know, correlate, you know, with Sting's career, other than Booker T. You know, I'm the last guy. I'm the only guy. You know, which was really, really cool to actually get out there and perform at that level again without actually having to take a bump. You know, but to go out there and show the young guys, you know, what performance really is. You know, that's the one thing I miss about the business more than anything is the performance, being able to go out there and make that moment as real as it possibly can be. You know, my Twitter blew up after, you know, the so-called firing of Booker T. You know, everybody thought I was real. My wife even, you know, called me, you know, asked me, what's going on, you know. You know, and if I could get you caught up like that, man, I'm really doing my job. I always tell these young guys, you can make a fan cry, you know, that's when you're doing your job.
Very cool. Now, right now, we see you every Monday night on Raw. You were added to the booth as they moved Jerry Lawler to SmackDown. Did that take much to convince you for that position, to come in and do that?
No, man, it's something that I wanted to do for many, many years. You know, my first go-around on SmackDown, I just was not prepared for that job. They just took me out of the frying pan and threw me in the fire, and I just wasn't ready for it. I could honestly tell the world that I was not ready for that job. I just didn't know what it entailed. You know, getting it taken away from me, I was like, wow, you know, and then moving to the pre-show gave me a chance to regroup and really find myself and, you know, see what I really need to do to go out there and perform and make myself better. And, you know, from that point, I just started studying. I just started writing. I'm a writing machine right now. I got a book so big with notes in it, you know, 4 to 6 months back talking about the guys. And I just prepare myself. I just do a lot of writing and a lot of studying. I love being out there, having the best seat in the house, you know, every Monday night. It's a great thing.
Now, Booker, you have the best seat to watch Monday every week, and we have a hometown boy in the WWE right now, Luke Harper. What do you think of Luke Harper since he's come up in the last 2 years?
And I really like Luke Harper. You know, the thing is, you know, him coming off of one of the, you know, coolest factions, you know, the Wyatt family. You know, that's, you know, something that hadn't been done in a long time, and then having to break away from that and then find his own, find himself, find his own identity. That's one thing. I think he's been trying to, you know, he's been struggling a little bit, trying to find who is, you know, he really, you know what I mean? What is his character really? What is it going to take for him to move to the next step? You know, he won gold, there for a minute, and then, you know, lost it. But I tell you, the guy's he's a hell of a talent. For a big guy, he's elusive, he's agile, He can go out there and, perform in the ring from a Shakespearean level. You know what I mean? So I just want to see exactly what's in store for Luke Harper in the future in WWE. As far as his talent goes, I don't question his talent. I just want to know exactly, how far as his showmanship is going to take him.
And it didn't hurt having John Cena say he was one of the most underrated wrestlers on the card either. That's for sure.
The thing is, he is one of the most underrated wrestlers on the card. You know what I mean? He's a guy that's got a boatload of talent. And we just got to figure out how to tap into it and find it and bring it out.
Very cool. We have Dave from the town of Henrietta. Dave, you're on with Booker T.
Hey, you're talking about your performance and how much you enjoy performing, and you've been very vocal about the New Day and their lack of, just their needing an edge to get the tag team titles. Can we see you in any kind of managerial role or something like that to push them over the top, getting your wealth of tag team knowledge and tag team championships?
Managerial role for the New Day, I don't see that happening. But you know what? I may have had the wrong opinion of New Day in the beginning. I don't consider myself, to be the guy that, tells us, speaks it, like it is all the time as far as, whether I like a person or not. The thing is with New Day, I think that the WWE, the company, put those guys in a position for them to go out there and actually succeed. I didn't see that in the beginning. Starting this thing, faction that everybody's going to hate, black people, white people, Mexicans, maybe become, the most hated tag team or three-man team in the WWE before it's all over with, and it may catapult these guys to the next level. I always wonder what was it going to take for Kofi Kingston to make that crossover from being a babyface to a heel. This may be it. And so I give those guys props for actually going out there and pulling this thing off, something that I definitely didn't think they could do.
Very good. Thanks, Dave, for the call. One last thing before I let you go, Booker. So you've got 2 autobiographies, possibly a third coming down the line eventually?
Oh, yeah, man. I got a third coming out. There's still so much more to Booker T. I got my, Reality of Wrestling, my wrestling company. I have my school. I got so many things in the frying pan right now that's cooking. Like I said, the comic book coming out next month. I totally found myself in a different way. The Booker T that I am today was definitely not the Booker T I was as a kid, because I hate writing, I hated studying, I hated doing all that stuff. And now it seems like that's all I do.
Very cool. Now you can see Booker T every Monday night, WWE Raw on USA Network, and his new book is called Booker T, My Rise to Wrestling Royalty, and you can find it everywhere, including Amazon.com. Thank you so much for the time this morning, Booker. Best of luck with the book, and beware a scorn Brock Lesnar in the future, okay?
Yes, indeed. Most definitely. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. Like I always say, if it wasn't for the fans, there would be no Booker T. And like I always say, now can't you dig that? Sucker.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Have fun in Chicago. We'll see you later, dude. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We got to go to break. That was a lot of fun. Wow. Great.